Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MEC Pod. We got ourselves a new set of a look here. You know, we had the MEC look going on, but we were like, we're in that round of 32. We're in nationals. Let's flip it up a little bit. Go with the color scheme a little bit more. I'm Travysty. As always, I'm joined here with Shibby and somebody out of this world, Mac Dewey. How are you doing, gentlemen?
I love Max picture.
You don't make me start, Shibby.
No, you gotta start. You're starting with your scuffed mic. That's your punishment.
Oh, alrighty. Cat's out of the bag. Max not in his usual setup. I've gone venturing for teams better than the MEC, and unfortunately I've gone out in the wild. I can't find any out in the wilderness.
I thought you were gonna go like the MEC. I'm broke after MEC, so I had to sell my setup.
Max out in the Midwest forests right now. He's just in the greens.
Hi guys, I'm Mac Dewey looking in the wild for more MEC teams.
Can't stop going to Outback,
Steakhouse. He wants the steakhouse. He wants the steak, the shrimp on the barbie or whatever.
It's like, I want a bloomin' onion.
Those things look like a heart attack. Those things look like a heart attack. Blooming onions are crazy.
Have you never had a blooming onion, Chibi? Hold on.
No. I've had one.
Okay.
I haven't had one like fully, but I've shared one before, and I was like,
you haven't lived until you've taken a full blooming onion, dude.
Nah, I'm good.
You really get your heart going and stopping.
Specifically at the NC State Fair.
Abby, me and you are at an age where like oily food is like decommissions us for like a day. Like, I already know. It's like, dude, I had some like really oily Chinese food the other day. Or I had super oily, but like part of it was we had Szechuan cuisine after Ottawa and them won. Me and my girlfriend went out and we got some fucking Chinese food, and it was legit. It was hella spicy and stuff like that. Essentially, actually, the food that the players and stuff are eating in Chengdu is the same food that I actually ate on Saturday. Literally, the place was called Chengdu House. So it's all like spicy. Yeah, it was.
You're
really
like
good.
LCS approved then.
I guess so, pretty much. Other than that, pretty good weekend. I don't know. I think you guys obviously saw the news. Pretty sure everybody by now has. I'll be in Texas this weekend for NECC LAN. The NECC x CECC. So both Esports U and I think or like CECC and NECC are doing like a joint LAN together. Like so they're sharing the Arlington Esports arena, and they're having like a bunch of tournaments and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be in Texas from. When does this episode release? Probably Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah. I'll release it on
so
Wednesday.
I'll be flying out Thursday.
Wednesday.
Yeah. So I'll be flying out Thursday, and I will be in Texas for the whole LAN and stuff. First LAN. Kind of excited, kind of nervous. It's very different. I've never done something like that before. It's unfair because Yanni's already done like 2 LANs, and that'll be my casting partner for the whole thing. And then obviously and obviously the MEC team's winning 3-0. Fucking, no one's more like. The unfortunate part is I couldn't cast anything. Like I know Hyper asked me, and like I'll look like obviously you guys asked, but I couldn't. I was just too busy this weekend with like real life stuff. Unfortunately, I was able to catch the games. Obviously, you guys saw me chirping in Twitch chat, but that was about it.
Every time, funnily enough, every time we like message Shibby to be like, "Yo, Shibby, you want to cast?" He just sent us a picture of him like on a phone, shades on. He was like in a 3-piece. So he was just like, "Do I look like I can? I would meander with you all, like it was." No,
I just couldn't. I couldn't do any casting stuff. I couldn't. A bunch of people asked me, or like other co-streams and stuff like that, and I was just like, no, I can't.
Yeah. He actually flicked him the bird too while he was inside it. The same image.
Yep. But you guys killed it. I fucking loved your guy. You're on like camera. Like IRL synergy, it's so good actually. It's so unfair.
Double play-by-plays.
Double play-by-plays. It was so good. Like you guys honestly looked like you had so much fun. in the studio. Like, it looked so much fun the way you guys were talking and the references and the cast. Like, I mean, it was it as like super prim proper or serious as a CLOL broadcast? Probably not. But I think it's better than what you guys did.
Whoa.
I agree with this sentiment. It was very fun. The energy was lighthearted. You know, it might have not have been, like you said, prim and proper, like you said, but I still thought it was a very good like broadcast in general, right?
Yes,
like I think
yes,
if you
yes,
slap that
yes.
on CLOL broadcast, right, and people would still be like, dude, I tune in for that shit. It was good.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, yeah, I meant to say, like, it probably isn't, like, doesn't have that, like, riot polish or,
Yeah.
like, you know, like a third party would do, right? Albeit, last year, we did go a little crazy on the Battlefield.
Yeah.
But
With
I
the
did eat some, like,
TriCast production
cheese.
observing.
Yeah, that was, like, a weird thing. But I really liked your guys' broadcast. The studio feel was so sick. I didn't even know UNC had it like that, Mac. I was just like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
bro, you guys have like a full broadcast. Like, I was like, damn, this is sick. Like the screen in the background, the table. You guys looked like so sick. I loved it. I loved all of it. The casting was super fun. Yeah, I think I think your guys is like one of the most watched ones, or like at least
We had a lot of viewers, honestly. I remember
it was like
going
I think
and
you
looking
guys
at
peaked
it.
like above 100. Yeah, you guys I think peaked above 100. I don't know on the
Really?
unified side.
It was
I think
up there.
maybe it was
up
the
there.
unified one, but I don't know.
Okay. No, that's still hype.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I do have a comment, Shibby, for your LAN experience. I am expecting some updated profile pics on Twitter
Dude,
and
dude,
some high def. Some
Yeah,
high
that's
def,
the main
like,
thing.
you know, just power poses, like mid cast. I know how
We'll
hyped you
see.
get.
We'll see.
So-
Yeah.
That's like the best thing. That's the only reason to go on a LAN as a caster, right? To get the LAN pick, like, so you can upgrade it.
Upgrade your
Like the
profile
one where you're
picture.
You know, like that, you're doing the poses and shit. I mean, I'm gonna make like a video and stuff too, and like take
Do a
bunch of
vlog,
video
yeah.
and like
And
I
the
want to
like.
like I want to vlog it, but also like take a bunch of videos of everything and like mishmash it together,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mhm.
Like a
Put some
That'd be cool,
non-copyright
but,
lo-fi in the background. Yeah, I get you. I get you.
whatever. It's gonna be copyrighted music. I'm posting it on Twitter. I don't give a fuck. What is Twitter gonna do?
I did want to kind of peel back and before we start talking about the games and talk about like the experience of that too. It was very fun. So I got to meet like some of the Mac's proteges. My favorite thing was, and this was my favorite line that was dropped, was, I have never seen the producer. I can't remember his name off the top of my head now, but
It's probably Blake.
Yes, and he turned around
Yeah.
and he said, I have never met anybody with the same range as you. Because he was on the mixer, like, taking my stuff up and down. He's like, at one moment in time, I'm like, really chill. And then he's just like, and then I'm docking you down to -20 on my mixer.
I heard it's the headphones you guys use, right? The Audio Technica, like it's really finicky or whatever, like the headset.
Yeah.
And
Pretty
I
good
mean, I'm
overall.
already a
Like, I
very,
enjoy him
I'm a loud person though. Matt can attest. So like,
just a bit.
I'm very chill.
It's a different experience being in the same room with Travy. While I had to put the desk between him and me while we were casting so that, I could feel, once Travy gets going, you start hearing the, like, WWE growl come out when the fights get intense. I'm like, oh, God, I gotta give him his space.
There's a moment in time where Mac would get in front of the desk, and I would be behind the desk still. And there's a monitor, of course, that we're actually, like, able to view everything off of. And there's a moment, like, Mac, whenever he would do any kind of, like, color commentary, when I would do play-by-play, he kept looking back. Yeah, we did a switch swap between series.
Mac's attempted color.
And he would look back and be like, now, Travy, and he would look back with me with a smile on his face, with his, like, hand out like he was tossing it off physically to me, and he would look over, and I'm just, like, pacing around the whole entire back end of the screen. Like, the entire back end behind the desk became my territory. I'm like, there was a moment in the very first game, I got scared, because I actually pushed the desk forward I thought I was gonna run over Mac because I was so excited. Matt just like moved forward a little bit, and I just got so hyped. I like jumped up into the air and like slammed my hands on the desk.
Oh, I bet the auto, dude, the auto game. I could feel like you guys did a really good job on the energy for the auto game. Like that could tell. Like it's not even bad that you guys like were pseudo homers. Obviously, like I don't know what the fuck they expected. I don't care. Like I'm happy that Ottawa.
I don't know what you want.
Just a little bit, but at the same time, like that, in my opinion, made it a better cast. Like you guys were still fans, and you guys still obviously wanted to see Ottawa succeed. It's not like you didn't give a Goku and the gang flowers, right? Like when they had those really good plays.
Dude, Goku's
in
insane as a player. Oh my goodness.
Goku's insane. Okay. Segue, but we'll talk about the first game. It was actually the GVU ISU game. I did not have enough faith, so I tried to do my bracket like oh, I'm an analyst, blah blah blah. I had some flyers here and there. Obviously, I think a lot of people would consider the Ottawa a flyer if you're like trying to do it logically. I had full faith that Ottawa was going to win. The only reason, and I was so happy to be wrong about this, but GVU, they fucking came to play, dude. Like they had lane swaps down, like they were lane swapping on ISU. I don't think ISU was ready, and the reason I had ISU going was because of how good they looked against Northwood. They took them to 5 games with that same roster, right? Everybody's like, oh, no disconnector, this team's trash. If you saw the Northwood series, like they almost beat them.
I had a lot of faith in GVU going into that series. I don't know how Mac you felt, but I voted GVU ahead of ISU. And my reasoning was I was thinking that Nightstar actually looked like they were coming into their own from when I was checking in. I also had a little bit of the bias from the running the Rift combine that happened the week prior. So I was just like, there's a moment in
Proctor
time.
leveled up.
Yeah, like Proctor leveled up as well. The fact that Proctor got to add Skarner into the champion pool now as well, so they have that consistent rock in the top side. The lane swap, I think, was actually really, really smart. This actually benefits GVU a lot if they can do lane swaps, just because any advantage you can give to Nightstar, and then you just let Jinquil do their thing. Proctor's great at playing weak side, and I think he's actually gotten better at doing such, and his champion pool now, I don't think you can actually fully target him out without getting heavily punished. So I think with lane swaps as an option that you can call as an audible from GVU, like... I actually think this is a roster that's a bit scarier than a lot of people are ready for.
I mean, lane swap. Oh, go, Mac. Fine.
We're talking a lot about the laners, sure. I'm gonna give Castle his flowers. You know, this year from MEC Jungle, there was a bit of a void left by Trickster leaving Ottawa. Doubtful has come in and claimed some of that, but Castle had an absurd series on the Lee Sin, making huge plays. I just think back to this like surprise flash kick. Shout out Blake, who was producing. He was nice with it with the Fog of War toggle. So we knew ISU didn't see Castle, and they were planning this tower dive with the Kindred. And then Castle gets this absurd insect, catching the Kindred, throwing them underneath the turret, and it completely foils the play, and GVU just start rolling off of that. So I was really impressed with the series Castle had.
Yeah, GVU looked like a machine. Like I said, I think this. I mean, partially, I think the CLOL will really be determined by who can effectively use lane swaps, right? Because also we'll get into it in like the Ottawa game too, because they actually lane swapped in game 2.
They did it too. It was freaking wild.
Yeah, and Blonde fucking told me they weren't gonna do it. By the way, that series. And I was like, I mean, but it worked out so well for them. And the thing is, the good thing about lane swaps is that like you can kind of dodge those shit matchups for like the top lane. Right? And like obviously like I'm not like Proctor leveled up so much. He added obviously more tanks to his repertoire. Like you said, the Skarner. I'm sure you can play like the Scion and all the other stuff now. But it also like you said, Travi, it gets your bot lane an advantage, right? Like now they get to be like, oh, we're gonna take plates, we're gonna deny enemy top. Like, oh, I think most teams are gonna go in to GVU and be like, oh, we have top advantage. Well, now they fucking lane swap, and you can't do anything about it. Proctor's still going to be a tank. He's still going to be relevant. Nightstar and Pluto now get to be accelerated, right? Whatever champions they're picking, whether it's the Jinx, whether it's like the Xayah, however they want to lane swap with whatever champions, now they can get an advantage. And one of your biggest carries on GVU essentially gets an unfair start, right? It's like in Mario Kart where like one player gets the NOS, the boost at the beginning, and the other guy just fucking spins out, right? Like that's what happens. Like that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. And then like now that just plays into how GVU want to play League of Legends.
I'll say too, I think ISU also just had they had a game plan and they had a strategy going into it. They picked Vayne top inside of the very first game, right? And like they have themselves in this interesting thing where they have tempo spot lane and they're just doing like these mage strategies. And so you need like a carry somewhere inside of your composition. So the big one was like we saw a Kindred jungle inside of game 2, inside of game 1, it was the Vayne top. Right, and
Meslo,
you get a very interesting composition because of that. And if lane swaps were not a thing, right, Vayne top actually eats good inside that matchup, but instead, you don't get to eat good anymore. And it was so good. I like it a lot. I think ISU, they stylistically, they probably went against one of the worst teams because of the fact that GVU was just prepped on a way to be able to beat them. And I think ISU didn't have a great answer on how to answer a lane swap either, because we even saw like there was a moment in time where they were rotating solo laners, where they rotated their bot. They rotated their bot to mid, their mid to bot, their top, their support to top. So you had the Vayne Thresh in top lane, but then they sent the Vayne bot, and then they sent the Orianna top, and then they had the Lux
like
still bot.
Yeah,
and it's just like,
yeah, it's so unfortunate for ISU as well because of what happened to Disconnector, right? Like it's such a, I get it, don't type blah 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 blah, but like it's such a, Riot has been, or RSSA, whatever you want to say, it has been so finicky with stuff, right? Like even the Helloesia stuff, like clearly there's been a lot of weird stuff happening. And yeah, I think you're hit the nail on the head. Like already ISU's playing with like not the roster they want to, and now they have to like figure out lane swaps where Meslo was a big carry for ISU in that Northwood series. Like it was just him. He was just hard carrying on stuff, and they were relying on like Tempo's champion pool, like playing the mages, the Lux, the Seraphine, the Zillion if he's gonna pick it, that kind of stuff, and then you just dodge out the advantage, or like you already throw a team that's discombobulated into like a meat grinder of confusion, and that's just a mess, right? It's just so bad. So I think, was this GVU's best opponent? I think they probably could have beat any of the other teams in that group for in ISU's group, but I think they, like, as much as we were like memeing like, oh, it's ISU GVU again, fuck, honestly. Honestly, crazy good for GVU. And I sent Dre, the moment they won, I sent Dre that Shaq meme of like, I have to apologize. Like I was not familiar with your game. Dude, like I was not expecting lane swaps in round of 32. I was thinking top 16 teams were gonna do it, or like maybe some of the top teams. But shit, man, fuck, they got it. Like they made it work, and I was very impressed. And it's, not just to give credit to the lane swap. Obviously, the players played very good as well with those advantages. I think all of GVU stepped up, and I think that's probably like a small advantage that the MEC has, where their season kind of ends a lot earlier than most. So they're probably just prepping, scrimming, who knows, right? They had like a little bit more extra time, and fuck, MEC 3-0, like they just showed up.
They showed up. That's all you gotta do.
And one more thought on the GVU series. Game 1, lane swap city, that sets up, kind of I felt like watching it, classic GVU game from those advantages, like you were saying, Shibby. Everyone kind of understood the lane swap and was able to play off of it. And then it felt like that integrated into what they were already used to doing, which was really fun to see. And then game 2 felt like the Jinqual show. on that Akali.
Bro.
Absurd. So freaking crazy, man. Like, how many times they tried to pick him off in side lanes, he just would not die, and then that led into GBU getting really good fights after they burn a bunch on Jinquil, and there he is still alive, getting double and triple kills, and I'm like, what on earth is this man doing? Like, MEC MVP showed up for GBU, I think, to kind of clutch it up and close that series out 2-0, which was fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying Jinquil. There's no denying GVU. They have finally broken a curse. They have gotten into Sweet 16, which is huge for them. But another team was able to find themselves in familiar territory, underdogs, right, inside of this net series. We're going to transition on over to what was our net series, Ottawa Braves taking on Weber State. First seed from the West, undefeated unlike the rest. They still fell all the same, though. They all found themselves falling down. And then it's Ottawa Braves. I mean, game one was the Goku show. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to front. I was just like, dude, Goku was insane with it mid. Like, there was a moment where Goku flanked, did a TP flank mid. And it was like a 2v4 scenario, and I was just like
2v5. It was like 2v4.
Yeah. And it was like, dude, you're about to end. What are you doing? What are you doing? And he actually just comes in and just completely like hard carries the play, and I'm like, dude, not only do you make that play like mechanically right, you're calling for that play because the other person followed up. So I was just like, yo, Goku probably called that play, said, I see this angle. His teammate had complete faith in him and followed up. I was just like, that's good. That's good stuff. I was just like, dude, Weber State, kind of scary. And then game 2 and 3.
Oh, game 2 is wild, right? Like the late invade into the, like, okay, we could talk a little bit more about game 1 because it, like, realistically, it could have easily been a 2-0 for Ottawa because that's just like early game leads, transitioning it. I remember talking to somebody about it.
Dude,
like
Levi
we
was
were
4-0.
watching game 1. Yeah, we were talking about it. We were talking about game 1, and they're like, "Huh, this West 1 frauds." I was like, "No. This is a typical Ottawa game. They're gonna get an early game lead, and it's gonna go late, and it's gonna be even for whatever fucking reason, and they're gonna lose it. Like it just is what it is. That is Ottawa, and that's fine, because the flip side is that they'll get early game leads, and they'll just fucking roll your shit like in game 2. Like It was very, very like intelligent. They do the late invade, and like I'm so crazy, and I think Mac was like flipping his head, and like Travi, you were too, because they were late invading a Braum level 1.
Yes, I was really thrown off by this. I was like, you're invading a who? And it was like a long invade too, right? Like the Varus wasn't even there. Like they didn't even rotate
like 2
the
minutes.
Varus.
2 minutes, 2 minutes. And then the big key factor for this invade is whoever gets the smite fight, whoever wins it, they win the game, right?
Yep.
Pretty much, or like they win that. Because obviously Rek'Sai level 2 can burrow underneath, do all this stuff. Obviously Lee Sin level 2, the QE or whatever he does. That's the big thing. So they win the smite fight, and then it's just donezo, right? Rek'Sai dies, then they're trying to go for more kills, and then they're not done. They like lane swap it, and they're like kind of late. So I'm like, oh, Varus is just going to get like free farm, I guess. But he doesn't actually get the lane pushed in fast enough. So I think Killian TP's back, catches the whole wave. He's fine, gets the XP on Sion. And now I think Jexorex or whatever is, I think that's how he's his name. He's screwed.
Yeah.
Because now there's like a big wave stacking against him. It's not into his tower. He can't really walk up, and Killian just got a bunch for free. And Rek'Sai is now on the bottom side of the map. The map is split, and then Prod and the boys just absolutely dumpster this Gragas. It's so sad.
Dude, it was brutal. It was brutal. I mean, you gotta give credit where it's due to, and I one of the things that I love about this inside of game 2, because I was scared from the draft because it was Kaisa Rise. And I had like a bit of confidence because I was just like, yo, it's Blonde's Rise though. Hold on.
Yeah,
but I was
Blonde
also,
Rise is...
But I was also just like, Yeah, but there's still a timer. Like, you gotta get your tier stack. You gotta get Rod of Ages on its 10-minute timer. Kaisa needs 2 items. Bro, it doesn't matter when you got both. You hit your power spike at 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I just think they played really well too. Like again, around the advantages, and then obviously we're gonna talk about it, but shout out to Levi, man. Game 2, like the motherfucker just took over.
Yeah.
After he gets that triple kill, right, in that like river skirmish fight, I was like, I told the dude I was talking to, I was like, it's GG, by the way. Like Ottawa win this. It's over.
Dude, Levi's a different beast when they're not forced to play Jinx and have to rely on somebody to try and protect them, right? Like they're like, I choose the moment to go. There was a moment, I don't know if you noticed it, but there was a moment where he killer instinct to dodge a shockwave. And like there was a shockwave, it was like right around the dragon pit. It was during one of the Outco fights, and the shockwave only hit one person. It looked like it was going to hit him as well, but he killer instinct into the backline and demolished the Orianna on the play. And I was just like, bro, how do you do that? I was just like, that might have been that might have been luck, or that might have been instinct. I don't know, but like, I was very happy with it. I was there was a line that I had said back to Mac, because Mac had made an Ultra Instinct joke about Goku, and I was just like, yeah, but who was standing up at the end? It wasn't Goku.
That's true. That's true.
No, we did enjoy our and again, we mentioned this earlier. Me and Travi were having so much fun. The vibes were elite. The Dragon Ball Z puns were flowing. It was so lit.
No, yeah, I think you guys, like I said, you guys did a good job. But I think just the fact that like, I think Ottawa's a little bit underrated because like none of their players actually like really play super professionally, right? Like obviously Doubtful and Klexo, or sorry, not Doubtful, Klexo, Prod and Plux, right? Like and then Blonde as well. Like Prod is getting into his competitive career now. Like he's doing the combines. Plux obviously plays for an NACL team. Blonde tried to, but like these guys are still challenger players. Levi's a challenger AD carry. Blonde is multi-season challenger mid lane. I think Killian has also hit challenger on Rumble. Like obviously, who knows, like other stuff. These are all challenger level players. So like the mechanics, I think the mechanics part for a lot of people surprises them about Ottawa. It's just these guys just don't play competitive. Like Levi, like I remember we asked him, Travis, like, do you have any plans of playing after? He's like, no, I'm just done. He's just a challenger player that goes to college. Yep. Like that's what it is. Like, and he just happens to play for the collegiate team for Ottawa. Like in any other world, if he actually had like a desire or drive to play like competitively, we'd be talking about him as like a tier 3 or tier 2 player, right? If he had that, you know, motivation to do that.
Yeah.
But
ambition.
He's just really good. He's just really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with
and
you.
Now back-to-back top 16 for Ottawa.
I mean,
kind of crazy.
We didn't even talk about Game 3 either. That was a game that made, I think, a lot of Ottawa Braves fans a little scared too. Like Game 3 was like, well, Game 3 was like the hopeful were like in there. I was just like, oh no, chat voted for Ottawa Braves. No, it can't end like this. There was a lot of like messy moments, and I think that's typical of them. They're all good players, but when it comes down to things, are they a bit messy? Yes. But how many teams actually have to scrap with somebody who is like a rabid dog chasing you down and you're looking like you're covered in a meat coat, right? Like, that was legitimately, Braves are very, very tenacious as a team and willing to scrap with you. And I do feel like, yet again, it kind of goes back to my point, stylistically.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Weber State, a school that, remember, they swept through their conference. They didn't lose a single game. They were undefeated, 3-0'd their finals against another team that was undefeated until they met Weber State. And then it's just like, okay, what kind of competition do you know? Do you know a team that is willing to scrap with you tooth and nail over every single thing you want? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the West provided that for you. And there was even the reason why I was starting to say Forged and Fire. MEC was the most competitive conference out there in comparison to a lot of the other conferences. There's a couple exceptions that you could talk about, like you go north and be like, look at all this plethora of really good teams up in north, but
Yeah.
legitimately MEC has 4 teams that were like fighting against each other. You had 2 teams right underneath that were trying to claim one of their spots at all times, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, you'd also talk about the stylistic stuff. Like, if you go into the mud with Ottawa, like, you will lose that. Like, you'll just lose that.
Don't go in the pig pen.
Yeah, like, unironically, like, Ottawa just doesn't stop trying to fight you. Like, even in game 3 where it was, like, kind of memey, like, a lot of people were, like, memeing Killian on the Malphite because he, like, wasn't ulting. I think you guys were like, like, fucking I mean, look.
There was a moment Mac looked at me and I'm slamming my hand on the desk. I'm like, please, just do it.
Yo, but I mean, he held it smartly, I think, because, like, the whole crux of that composition was Malphite has to hit one of the 2 carries and Levi has to fly in. Like, that's literally that's like how they kill somebody. I think I was memeing it. It was like, whichever team kills somebody first wins the fight. If the Jinx gets the resets, they win. If they get the big wham bam, like, dive into the back, they win, right? Like, that's how it works. And you either have to kill the Syndra or the Jinx. And I think Killian did a really good job, because sometimes it's better to hold the big gun than to fire your bullet, your one shot. Sometimes it's more intimidating. Like, in the same vein of, like, holding the Blitzcrank Q, sometimes it's better just to hold it than to just fire it. And I think you saw Weaver, like, why is this guy not fucking ulting us? Like, what is he doing? There were moments where they were like, very confused, and then when it happened, the fights were just won. And mind you, Travi, you brought up a good point. That game 3 for Ottawa, that shows complete growth, because they sprinted that shit early. Like, Prod, I was like, Prod's just, like, missing cues, like, messing up stuff, and the resiliency to bounce back, to get Rise ahead, to put Blonde into a position to be like, you know what, let me just put the team on my back for a little bit, and then we'll figure it out. And then for Prod to, like, find all these amazing mid-game kicks, the one onto the Viego where if Viego gets the reset onto any of their backline members, the fight's over. The one where he gets it onto the Jinx, right? He finds the Q, resonating strike. Like, there's so many good kicks from Prod. Unironically, I think teams are going to start banning the Lee Sin away from him.
I think that was going to be kind of my point, Shippy, at that game 3 as well. And it really showcased the team understanding, who can make plays, who can come up. Plux was roaming up into the mid lane to gank.
Yeah.
Goku was just not having a good time on the Syndra. And Blonde's Rise. Holy.
Blonde was giving Goku the moves. Blonde was giving Goku the fucking moves, bro. Like, he was laning against him very well.
How funny is it that Blonde, somebody who is, as long as I've known them as a player, has always had a Vegeta picture as their profile?
Yep. Couldn't write it better. Couldn't write it better. You could not write it better.
Oh, man. But our Dragon Ball Z references did end. We finished off our stream there for Saturday. And then Sunday came around. Purdue Northwest was next up, the final MEC team. We were over on the Unified channel. They asked if they could go ahead and stream this one game, this one series. I mean, Purdue Northwest, they looked so good. I am so happy they are not lane swapping. They did not do a lane swap. They never felt the need to. Like, their team is not a team that needs to ever do lane swaps, in my opinion. Just because I'm like, yo, Prank is a world-class top laner in terms of collegiate. I feel like Prank can go head-to-head with a majority of the tops inside of collegiate, especially when they're playing their best. But you know what? Against their competition, I was just like, you know what? Yo, you guys just need to have those strong lanes. Let Prank do what Prank does best and just dominate lane.
I think the point that you bring up as well is like they don't need to lane swap. I don't think they need to lane swap by any means. I think also the narrative around Purdue Northwest was very funky because like a lot of people didn't believe that they maybe shouldn't have been a Group C team. I'm like, no, they should be a Group C team, like 1,000%, right? Like they were so good. I think they were like the fact that they ran the gauntlet of MEC in the losers bracket. We talked about it. They beat every other team. And the fact that they were going against arguably one of the harder teams in University of Waterloo, right? Had Onat, obviously, Onat's playing jungle, not mid lane, but like they looked good, right?
Yeah.
Like, University of Waterloo is not a
Not a
horrible
bad
team by any means.
Nope.
No.
No slouches.
And I think Purdue Northwest handled it. I think a lot of people might still believe that, like, oh, you're a Group C team going against University of Waterloo. It should have been cleaner. Sure, you could make that argument, but like game one, bro, like Doubtful Klexo took over. The Akali was like 11-1 in game one. Like the dude just hard gapped and hard carried that game. And then they were like, I think they were triple banning Prank. Like they took the Gnar, they took the Gwen. Like they were doing a lot of weird, like Waterloo. I don't know if they identified the right bans necessarily. Big question mark for me was how does Toponer stack up against like, true and tried support players? Because I know Toponer's obviously new to the role. Shit, bot lane fucking did fine.
Yeah.
We could talk about game 2 later, but game 1, like Purdue Northwest showed why they were the number 1 team in the MEC.
Bro, the Senna Ornn? Get out of here, man. Come on. What do you do? What do you say? It was a brutal... as a Senna connoisseur, that never entered the faintest glimpses of my mind. And it was so good. They played it so well. The Call of the Forge Gods CC chain with the Senna ultimate onto the ADC. I was like, yes, this is peak Senna play, peak bot lane synergy. Winking into Toponer looked fantastic. And then, game 2... Winking brings out the Hue bot lane.
Oh my god.
Are you kidding me? Unofficial Penta?
He didn't miss.
Yeah. No, Winking is legit. And I think, shout out to the combines, right? The RT. Like, yeah. I think the running the Rift combine, like a ton of MEC players were in that combine.
Bro.
They all leveled up.
Bro.
They all leveled up.
Bro. I hope, look, I'm going to get real personal about this one. I hope whoever decided they wanted to put Winking's name in their mouth as an AD carry that their player should have been ahead, wrote a Google Doc about it and everything. I hope you watched Collegiate. God. I hope you foamed at the mouth as you watched Winking, of all people, just tear apart people on Senna and Hue, 2 non-traditional AD carries that they were absolutely able to just put on a clinic on. I hope they turned around and felt like they were just absolutely in the wrong, because Winking, that was another thing that I just love seeing, because that Google Doc had came out like literally the week before where people were, this one dude was like, my AD carry should have been above this one player. Bro, my boy, Winking, he top 16. Where's yours at?
Yeah, I don't that whole fiasco, dude. We're not official. Yeah, I wanted to like just shoot myself in the brain seeing that, bro. Like I was reading it, bro. Like reading it, I was like, "Are we serious? Are we like dead serious?" And then the funniest reply, Marquez is like, I could set up 2v2s right fucking now. Like Marquez is about that action. I fucking love that about him. He's like, I'll set up 2v2s like today if you want, and we'll just run those.
Dude. I respect Marquez so much for it, because you're going to talk shit about his boys. He is the first person that's going to square up. Winking doesn't need to get up from his chair. Marquez got you. That's something I always love and respect about Marquez. Is like, funny dude, great dude, super great personality, really knowledgeable about the game. Ride or die. You a boy? He got you.
Yeah, and I think that game really showed as to why Win King is like the next generation, right? Like, because he obviously this is his first year in competitive, all that stuff. There were a lot of fights. I'm not gonna say a lot of fights. There were a couple fights where if Win King misses one ability, like I'm sure they lose it, right? And obviously Hui is kind of stupid.
Yep.
Like Hui is a dumb champion. Like we can all agree. Like sometimes he can just like not hit something and hit you with your ultimate and you're fucking dead anyways. But the fact that he had to hit like the claw into the QQ and all that, like there were fights where if Win King doesn't actually hit everything, they will lose. And I was so impressed. That was such a good game for Win King as well, just like on a mental note and just for him as a player. And now it just adds like a wrinkle, like prepping for this team. Like, look, we'll talk about the future matchups afterwards, but
Oh boy.
Like, how do you like? They can play the Senna Ornn, they can do the Hui. Win King also just plays the scaling stuff very well. The Zeri, he's got a Sivir. Like this Purdue Northwest team, they've got like that Win King bot lane with Toponer, but also like Olaf jungle. Like what? The dude pulls Diana 2 weeks before. Says like I've never played it in scrims. Like I
pulled bans on it throughout the entire event too.
Pulled bans on it. And then now has Olaf just ready to go, and they flex the Olaf to jungle. They give Prank his volley bear, by the way, unkillable demon. It's unironically, unless you just have fundamentally like that much of a better player, where like if you're facing off like against like Scary Jerry versus Win King, the idea is like, okay, Scary Jerry should just be like miles ahead of Win King, and you should just be able to take the regular bot matchup. There's still like so many wrinkles in the Purdue Northwest draft that like, what do you realistically prep and ban? Because someone or one combo is going to get through and you're not going to be able to do anything about it.
You know what we call that? Not my problem. It's y'all's. I'm cool with it. You can let the combo get through. I'm all about it. Let the wombo combo, the happy feet. I don't care what you want to call it. Purdue Northwest, power friendship. Cool. Bet. Anything. You can unlock anything with that team. I'm completely here for it. Let's go ahead. And you talked about it a moment ago because Purdue Northwest had such a good showing. I mean, it's just, yet again, it's just every player got to have their moment. There was moments where Prank was just a raid boss. There was moments where Win King showed why the rookie of the split is one of the most commanding AD carries you got to look out for. It's Toponer getting to show up on the national stage and have a big display for themselves as well. Doubtful Kletso, the best friends, able to run things. I love it. I love it. But our next matchups, let's go ahead and flip things back around here. Actually, let's stay with Purdue since they're fresh on our minds. Purdue Northwest, St. Thomas. How you guys feeling in that matchup? That's the former champions that you draw in Sweet 16.
I know, that's rough, right? Like, it's just unfortunate that they're Group C and they get UST. And a lot of people are down on UST. I said it in my video, this team's actually, like, still very fucking good. Like,
yeah.
it's Kenvi, it's Robbie Bob, it's Porsche. Array, right? Like it's a good team. Like the thing is, the Robbie Bob Dardoch 2v2 from the years before, obviously they had Shogo in the bot lane, but they had a really good 2v2. Kenvi fits into that role or slots into that role very well. And Robbie Bob is still running the South. Like that team is still very good. It's a very good challenge for Purdue Northwest. I think unironically, Doubtful Klexo should be the difference makers. Like if Doubtful Klexo can get the upper hand on Kenvi Robbie Bob, they'll win that series. And that's where like I expect these two guys to really show up. Array is going to do Array things. He's going to pick Ezreal. He's going to pick these scaling stuff. Opt in for the scaling war, in my opinion, unless Array doesn't respect you and he might go something more aggressive. If that's the case, sure, go for it. Porsche and Prank are kind of the same player in my mind. Obviously, Porsche, on paper, a lot better. Has the weak side stuff, has the GP available. Prank is more than willing to just be like that big body front line. I think it's a good test for Purdue Northwest. I think if they beat this team, like unironically, like you have to start looking at MEC as like the third best region, maybe third or fourth minimum.
Mac, how are you?
It's a series that I'm a little nervous for. My bracket's going to be put on notice. It will be interesting. Maybe Purdue start dabbling in the lane swaps a little bit, and like, what on earth is Wind King and Toponer gonna pick? I think that will be really interesting. Um, but if Klexo can keep having those kind of Akali games, I don't know. Seems kind of hard to stop. Um, and we'll also see. The Wind King talked about it in his interview. Marquez is a fiend in the draft lab, 24/7. It's on his mind. So what's he gonna cook up? And then also to note, just as a caveat, for all these rounds, it is best of 5 now, I believe, right? In the round of 16.
Yep, it's best of 5.
Crazy. So then it's like, okay, Purdue, can you take 3 games off of UST? I believe in the year before, even round of 16 was still best of 3.
Yes.
But they've extended it now. They've made things a little bit more interesting. And I think 4 teams looking to upset, honestly, it's a little bit harder to upset in a best of 5 format.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be interesting trying to make that work. Frank has got to have the best series of his life for me, in my mind. Like, Doubtful Klexo, big trust. Who do we see? Who's got to step up? Honestly, for me, it's Prank.
I mean, I think the interesting thing is, like, I feel like I look at this and I actually feel like a lot of the roles are a bit more even, or I favor, like, the experience of UST, right? Like, they have, of course, the advantage in terms of experience. But, like, if you are looking for somebody who understands some of these players to the best that they can possibly be, bro, Robbie Bob and Porsche were on Marquez's open qualifier team for NACL, right? Like,
Yep.
like if you are looking at somebody who drafted or knows what these players like or knows behavioral things,
it's a crazy matchup.
It's a crazy matchup when you put that into perspective, and you're like, yo, this could actually get a bit wild in terms of the draft, especially because Purdue Northwest has shown that they're willing to draft crazy comps, right? They're ready to draft a Diana and go Diana Yasuo at a heartbeat. They're ready to do some first-time stuff inside of game with complete confidence in each other. Purdue Northwest is wild. Robbie Bob is also wild. Porsche is a threat in the top side for sure. But you look over at Robbie Bob, and I look over and I think of the years of back when they played inside of a TBA in years past, where they were doing like the Rengar Ivern mid and stuff like that.
The goofy stuff.
Robbie Bob will get
Zed,
goofy.
The Robbie Bob Zed.
Yeah, like it gets goofy sometimes. So it's like, it's sped draft. I think drafts are going to be the funnest inside of this matchup, and I'm sad I only get one best of 5 of it. I would order 2 of them at the very least.
Yeah, I think this match is going to be a lot closer than most people think. I think a lot of people are just going to bet on UST, just like you said, Travi, because professional players, they have Kenvi, they have obviously Robbie Bob and Porsche, previous winners, 2-time CLOL champions. Array, also former professional player. Trevor just promoted into NACL with CCG. I know we didn't really highlight Trevor, but like I think Trevor is such a good support. And his champion pool is so deep, and it's like going up and Toponer, it's like how much can you abuse the fact that maybe he doesn't know all the support matchups. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a lot closer than I think a lot of people will expect. I'm obviously a truther or MEC. Like I would love. I don't know what my bracket says. I forgot. I want all the MEC teams to win. I think Purdue Northwest can do it. I think a lot of people are underrating them, and I think they're still gonna underrate them after this Waterloo series. And I think that might just be the downfall. We'll see. I mean, like you said, it's a really weird matchup because Marquez coached 2 of these players in NACL queues just recently. So he, like you said, Ravi, he knows some things, and maybe he can leverage those. I think the more exciting match is definitely going to be the Ottawa University versus the St. Clair Saints, as you want to call them. That's going to be a crazy matchup because those 2 teams, I think, are fundamentally very different. Ottawa loves to fight you on like everything. And St. Clair kind of plays the game a bit different, like Rick in the top lane. Yeah. They've also obviously got Rock Boom in the bottom lane, like an NACL player, very, very good. I think Ottawa is gonna have to drag teams into the mud to beat them, and we can talk more about like St. Clair and how good they look, because St. Clair is, they moved divisions, or moved conferences. I believe they think they were like a seed 1 team. You could maybe make the argument. Unfortunately, they're from the East, and sometimes the East is just not as deep as we think. Like, what are you guys' opinions on St. Clair, first of all?
This is a hard one because we saw the East get blown up over the course of this weekend, right?
Yeah.
And it whenever you see that happen, like your knee-jerk reaction, right, is like, how strong is this region, right? And you immediately, like, as somebody who didn't cast it, of course, I had that knee-jerk reaction. So I went back and was just like, all right, I need to go watch. I need to go see exactly what they're talking about. And Shibby, you have brought up a fantastic thing. You brought up pretty much both of the players that I would like to talk about in regards to that. But the main one being Rotboom. Rotboom is such a consistent, could you say, rock in the bot lane. Really, really consistently high DPM, really strong inside the bot lane. I actually don't think of him as like a bad AD carry by any means. I felt like they were slept on for quite a bit of time. And I think once they kind of got their show in, I think it was like they came in as a substitute last year, right? For an NACL team. It was either a substitute for an NACL team or an OQ team. And it came in as a sub, and they actually like popped off inside of that. And I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, and I was just like, oh, that was the eye-opener, I think, for a lot of people. I think a lot of people all of a sudden started realizing. St. Clair as a team, though, I'm more Ottawa favored than I am towards St. Clair in the matchup, because I'm betting on the highs that Ottawa has. Ottawa has some really high highs and some really low lows. But their highs are above St. Clair in just about every capacity. And I actually don't know if you're St. Clair, how do you shut down a lot of Ottawa? Because you don't shut them down in draft, you shut them down in game. As long as you ban away to Rumble. If you leave Rumble open, of course, you're griefing.
I think the interesting wrinkle as well is that Plux played with Rockboom on Lit Esports in this NACL split.
True.
So, like, that's another, like, shit. Like, I know this guy. I know what he's going to, like, does Rockboom know Plux or does Plux know Rockboom, right? Like, that's the, and I think maybe supports probably have more of an idea of how their AD likes to play, because the supports are more thinking about the game.
They take the laning phase,
Yeah. Like, Rockboom is just, I'm not saying he's not a smart player. Obviously not. Obviously, like, he is very intelligent, like, and stuff like that. But like, AD carries focus on different things. Like, they're, I love you, Rockboom. They focus on different things. AD carry players focus on different stuff. So it's very interesting that, like, a bot lane that played together in all of NACL is now having to face off against each other. And does Plux leverage the difference against Miracle, who also had like a pretty good showing in the Running the Rift? He was doing pretty damn good. Or can we rely on like Levi and him just being fundamentally a solid player because he's like just a high level challenger AD carry, just hasn't gone that competitive leaf? Can he hold his own against Rockboom? I mean, I think that bot lane is such an interesting point, because
how cool would it be if Levi is able to, like, a challenger player who's just been playing in collegiate, right, is able to just turn around and just beat Rotboom, like, very handedly too, right? Like, if he's able to do something like that, dude, all of a sudden all the scouts that turn in their head, like, hold up.
Levi doesn't want to play. That's the thing. Levi doesn't want to.
They gotta try and convince him,
Yeah. I think it'd be great.
Well,
like,
money.
The thing is as well, is money? Yeah, that's not here. That's not in the name. Unfortunately, but like, that's the thing, because can Levi have those hard carry games against better teams, right? Like, that's another thing. You're not gonna get 4 kills in the early game from St. Clair. Like, they're just not gonna do that, right? Like, they're not gonna give you a triple kill at 7 minutes.
But Ottawa's gonna make you.
Happen.
But Ottawa's gonna try and make you.
Ottawa might mind control you. I think the other cool thing, and maybe the other wrinkle in this matchup, like, obviously you're talking about Rick LaFool in the top lane, but mid lane, like, if it's Blonde versus I think it's Bakery Boy.
Yeah.
Bakery Boy's got a wonky champion pool too. The guy plays like Twisted Fate, Gragas mid, like I think Blonde can very much leverage his mid.
They're gonna ban Rise.
That's what I was good. That's what I was thinking, Travis.
I feel like after
after
that last series, they're probably gonna look over and be like, my
Yeah.
champion pool into Rise doesn't look too good.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, like Maddie versus Prod, like Maddie's a pretty aggressive jungler. Like he has
Maddie's
Elise.
good.
He regularly picks Elise, right? He has like a pocket Diana that he's willing to play. He's been playing a bunch of the Volley Bear. It's definitely tough because this is the #1 seed from the East. Like this is not a this is
the
not
number
a bad
one
team.
seed from the West.
That's true. East. I don't know, man. Like it might just be. I think there are ways. I think the Killian versus Rick LaFleur matchup is just.
That's a
I don't
weird
know.
one.
Killian,
I don't know how to talk about that.
I know. I'm sorry, I can't speak to it. I don't know what Killian we're gonna get. Right. I don't know if we're gonna get Malphite Killian or we're gonna get like you know what I mean, like Scion Killian, or are we gonna get like Cannon Rumble Killian? Right. Like, are we gonna get Gnar Killian? Like, there's. I don't know. It's definitely a weird matchup because Rick just plays like everything the standard stuff. He plays the Olaf,
Yeah.
the Renekton, the Aatrox. They flex the Gragas.
He's your
between
like
them.
ideal
I think-
top laner. He'll play whatever's meta.
Yeah. And I think St. Clair might have them on the flex picks. I think they definitely like when you get to those higher level teams like top 8, they can play with the draft so much. So like having like for Ottawa, I think they just play the game. Like they play very standard. What you see is what you get with them, and that might not be as good.
So, real quick, you brought it up. Ottawa's not outplaying anybody in draft. I think if anything, they're gonna do the thing where they're gonna be like, "Let me show you a disappearing act." They're gonna put a cloth up, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, what's this? It's my fist!" And you're just gonna knock you out, and that's them. That's their magic trick in draft. So I don't know. I think Ottawa's not gonna play any games. There's no games in draft with them. They just want to fight you on the Rift. Matt, how are you feeling? Are you feeling that same level of confidence? Are you thinking that Ottawa is going to come in with Mama said knock you out, or what's going on?
Well, what was interesting was I think a lot of the priority the MEC teams showed in the mid lane. We've obviously got 3 absurdly good mid lane talents in the tournament between Jinquil, Blonde, and Klexo. And they all showed out in really big ways in their matches. And so I think a lot of that, they were getting successful ganks off consistently in the mid lane. And so against these better teams, are these aggressive plays going to be able to work out in their favor? Are they going to be able to set them up to begin with? You know, that's all kind of hypothetical hearsay. What I hope for Ottawa specifically in this series, are they going to keep those invades going up? Are they going to bring them down in the mud, take them to the pig pen? Are we going to get down and dirty on Summoner's Rift? That's what I think would be the kind of best case scenario for Ottawa. But fellas, there's no beating around the bush. The MEC has quite a challenge ahead of them.
Oh yeah,
going into this weekend, and best of 5, which is gonna, I think, as well, make things pretty interesting. So, are they going to be able to, go through the? Are they going to have to overcome their trauma? Like Shibby, you like to say a lot, the trauma bands coming through. Who's going to be causing the trauma? I think will be kind of fun to watch. But so we've got what MEC going up against South 1, East 1, and then Winthrop's South 2.
NECC 2.
NECC 2.
NECC 2.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
But I mean, they're 1-seeded team, right? They're a 1-seeded team.
Yeah.
So it's not. I think if anybody looks at, and we'll talk about the GVU Winthrop thing, but I think it's not incorrect to say that like it's the odds are skewed against MEC.
Yes.
I think it's crazy to say that it's a blowout, though. I don't think it's gonna be.
So I had a point about that,
one-sided.
Shibby, where I was just like, I feel like a lot of people saw how competitive MEC was, and you have 1 or 2 reactions there, and the reaction is somebody who isn't watching it, they probably will just be like, well, if it's more competitive than it hasn't been in the past, then that must mean it sucks. So
Yeah.
that means the level went down, and that's people's assumption. Is it fair? No, you should watch the games before making that assumption. I know it's a lot of games that are out there that are happening on weekends, but like they're just out there. Just go ahead and be like, yeah, no, these players sucked or something like that. It's just kind of like, eh. But before we get too far away from things, I know we got the talking point, we got the underdog storyline. Another underdog, Grandview, Winthrop, Throp's out, Grandview. They don't have a slogan. I mean, Grandview looks good. I can't. If they're playing at this form, the thing that here's the weird thing. I'm not as concerned about GVU going into Winthrop because I saw GVU tends to be very consistent. So if they're playing at this form going into Winthrop sometimes just does silly stuff for no reason. I don't know if you watched their NACL Open Qualifier games, which is like the last thing that I got to see from them. But they just do silly things, and it's just like, all right, you guys don't have to throw here. You guys don't have to do this play here. And they have really good players, but sometimes they like you to be in the pig pen as well. They got that South Carolina vibe going where they're like, yeah, you know what? We're going to take them down to the pig pen. Whee! And sometimes when you play around in the mud, you get a little caked in it too much, right? You get too dirty into it, and sometimes you get a little bit more than you ask for. And GVU has had experience in the pig pen because of how competitive the MEC season has been. They have rolled in the mud. They know what it's like, and they know what it means to keep playing their strategy.
Yeah, fun fact, my high school graduation was in Winthrop Coliseum. I've seen the South Carolina pig pen.
I think this is probably the most unfortunate matchup for GVU. Winthrop is a team that like gets active early and they just dominate side lane. Like, and I love you, Strick Proctor. You're still growing, you're still learning, but you are arguably going against, if they do play standard, a top 1, if not top 2 top laner in CLOL. Like Denethor is NACL level talent. Like he is
might be like up there towards number 1 in NACL too, right? Like he's close.
If he goes to NACL, he will be a top like Denethor is so good. He is insane in my opinion, and that is just an unfortunate matchup. If you can dodge him in the lane swap, go for it. But then you have to deal with Mobility and Chookies, right? Who are also a fundamentally solid bot lane. And now you have to be worrying about the fact that, like, does Nightstar and Pluto outvalue the advantage that Mobility and Chookies are going to get? It's very, very difficult. I think you're also going against Trickster Sword, who, like, play these bread and butter 2v2 combos
It's
so
Trickster.
well.
He's back.
He's back. Castle's having nightmares. He's like, oh, Trickster, he came back. No.
No, I know Castle beat him in MEC. This is a different player, dude. This is a different team he's on. Like, and Winthrop looks the shakiest. They lost to Soupsville. They lost a game to Soupsville. And it is what it is, but they're still a good team.
Grandview beat them. Soupsville. Just saying.
That's true.
MEC Clash. Don't forget.
That's true. That's true. It is tough. It is tough for this team. I think GVU will make it a lot more competitive than I think they're gonna expect. I think Winthrop is probably gonna stride into this thinking they should just dominate this 3-0. Why not? But I think GVU can do it. I think they can if they lane swap out. If they put them on the late game carries, if they find those team fights, I think Jinkall Sword is probably a lot closer than most people are willing to admit. I think Jinkall is like another one of those players that's like pretty good, can handle himself. Like, it's just like the Denethor Strict Proctor gap is so insane to me, because like he's lane swapping or he's role swapping from support back to top lane. Denethor has just been honing his top lane prowess for years. He's a top prospect. It's rough. And I think this is probably one of the worst teams they could have matched up against out of all those teams. because of how stylistically they're different. Like Winthrop will leverage early game advantages when they want to. Like Mobility and Chookies will play Lucian Nami, Lucian Milio. They're gonna go for Zintalia. They're gonna go for Nico Zin, Viego Ari Vi, this kind of stuff. If you're not picking it, if you're picking stuff like ASOL into it, you're gonna get fucking booty blasted, man. I'm sorry. Like it's just gonna happen. Because that's what Vi Ari does. Like that's what Talia Vi does. I mean, I think, like I said, if you look at all the MEC teams, I don't think it's the wrong opinion to say that they should all lose in top 16, Sweet 16. I don't think anyone expected 3 MEC teams to go Sweet 16, so it's already a really good achievement. But the odds are stacked against them.
Competition's stiff.
And I think, yes. I think that's just, even as like an MEC coper, like I understand, if they win, all of Mac's people in the brackets are gonna get fucked, I'm sure.
Not me.
It's so fun. It's so tough.
Yeah, it is what it is. I err on the side of it's closer than most people are willing to give it, because we know the level that these teams can play at.
Exactly. Well, if that is the case, I have to ask before we send things away, how many MEC teams make it out of 16?
3.
3? Okay, Mac
3.
immediately said
3.
3. Shibby, what is it?
I'm battling two halves of me. It's like that thing that wolves. There's 2 wolves inside of me, bro. There's the MEC Coper, and there's like the
Not
realistic,
2 cars.
like realistic. Yeah, no. There's just I'm gonna.
Who wins?
Man, why not? Fuck it, 3. Like, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. You know what? If these teams play at what I think they can play at, what we've seen them, yes, they can win. They can win these games. It's way more winnable.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. 3
Believe it.
for 3.
Naruto, believe it.
Yeah.
If I've learned anything from Naruto,
Believe it.
believe it.
Clip it, ship it. Fuck it. I'll meme myself. I don't care. Like it's always fun.
Hey, look.
I've been burned. I've been burned doubting MEC teams. I've been burned. I already got the fucking the fireball jutsu from Purdue Northwest earlier this season. I'm good.
Y'all. Here's the thing, and this is what it comes down to. We're all big MEC believers. We all love CeeLo, just in general, though. That's what it comes down to. But we've seen these players. We've seen exactly their journey, what they've been through. You can't help but cheer for them. And we're also on a podcast named MEC POD. If any of you said anything other than 3 for 3, I would have had to mute you or do something bad to you on post edit. So, congratulations on passing your test of faith. But that
You are faithful.
that's gonna wrap things up for us. Make sure you guys tune in for the action coming up this weekend. I believe games will be starting up at 1 o'clock, or is it 2 o'clock? Pulling up the schedule right now, but
1 Eastern, I believe.
It should be a fun time. 1 Eastern, I believe you are correct. So it'll be very fun. I'm excited to be able to see what these teams have in store. I'm ready to see 3 MEC teams get out and ruin more brackets. Continue wrecking brackets, boys. I'm all here for it. But that being said, we're going to go ahead and close things out. Thank you all for watching our special edition of MEC Pod. Who knows? 3 teams come out, 2 teams come out, 1 team comes out, maybe we do another one. Who knows?
We just go dead silent after it's done.
We just don't tweet at all for after that. None of us.
Dude, if no teams make it, I'm already tweeting the depression plus it's a bad day for rain gif. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody uses it.
Chippy, I already have the Tokyo Ghoul Ken Kaneki picture ready. And just in case, I got my relief package. But thank you all for coming out here, watching, enjoying everything. we're looking forward to some more CLOL action coming up this weekend. Make sure you tune in and support all of the players, not just our MEC players. They're all fighting to make sure to put on one heck of a show and continue to live their CLOL dreams. So make sure you tune in, enjoy it, and we enjoy you coming by and stopping by. Take care and have a great rest of your night.